Welcome to the University of Texas and the College of Liberal Arts Texas Language Center. I'm Professor Thomas Garza. I'm the director of the center, and I'm also an associate professor of Slavic and Eurasian studies. Now, as current or future students at UT Austin, in a few years, you'll leave the 40 acres prepared to take on the challenges of a digital age, a highly interconnected world. One of the misconceptions, however, of that digital age that we live in and about the globalized world in general is that in the 21st century, English is the dominant language around the world in commerce, business, industry, science, education, largely because what we see on the internet tends to be in English. But what you see on the internet, what we all see on the internet, can be deceptive. So I'd ask you to consider the graph in the middle of the page, the bar graph. And you'll see, obviously, as many of you know already, that Chinese by far is the most widely spoken language in the world, followed relatively distantly by Spanish. And after Spanish, then comes English, followed closely by Arabic, Hindi, Bengali, Portuguese, Russian, and so on. The circular graph on the right-hand side of the screen may help explain why this misconception is the case, because when we surf the internet, we notice that fully half of the websites that we encounter are indeed in English, regardless of where they originate from. But the other half are in languages other than English. So indeed, looking at only the English sites eliminates half of what's going on the internet. Consider in that connection the quotation by former South African President Nelson Mandela. If you talk to a man in a language he understands, that goes to his head. If you talk to him in his language, that goes to his heart. Now, would it be any different, this question begs, if you used the other person's language? Say, for example, if you were trying to negotiate the sale of your product in Egypt, would you have more success in the negotiation dealing in English or in Arabic? Or if you were talking to a group of doctors in Russia trying to change their practices in healthcare, would you be more persuasive in English or in Russian? Or even more simply, if you wanted to upgrade your hotel room in Mexico, would you get better accommodations speaking English or Spanish? Functional proficiency, being able to do something in a language and culture, and being successful in doing that, that's what's at the core of language instruction at UT Austin. Now, at UT, we offer dozens of languages from the beginning level, novice, all the way up to the advanced level on a regular basis, plus dozens more on a year-to-year basis. And at the core of all of these languages is functional proficiency, being able to negotiate, to interact with, and to enjoy being part of the community in other parts of the world, and also to be a better global citizen more generally, connected to other countries. As 21st century students, most of you belong to Generation Z, Gen Next, digital natives with high expectations for your courses and instruction to meet the demands for quality engagement and relevance to you and your life. As a boomer myself, I spent some time looking at the profiles of Gen Z, what you're looking for in shaping your own education and future careers. Now, here's where you might want to stop me with an okay boomer, but some of the overarching characteristics that struck me most included the need for courses and coursework to be relevant and meaningful to you, a preference that you seem to have for project-based, content-driven assignments and being assessed on those projects. And interestingly, your insistence on making global connections with local realities and the needs, making these, if you will, glocal connections between here and the rest of the world. At UT, we strive to make our world language and culture programs tick all of these boxes. World language courses have, in the last 10 years, made huge strides in becoming much more student-centered and content-based. That means we find out who you are and what your needs are, what your desires are in taking our courses. And then we strive to craft these courses to be of maximum benefit to you every semester you're taking them. Rather than a one-size-fits-all model of teaching to an entire cohort, our language courses focus on engaging each one of you in pair or group work that encourages personal development and along with increased exposure to the language and culture. Projects are usually capstones to the courses that we offer, allowing students to focus on topics, materials, contexts that are of particular interest to each of you. In addition to the coursework in class, many of our languages have articulated study abroad programs built into them, ready to give you an immersive experience, often with in-country internships or other experiential component to make the time that you spend abroad in the other country relevant to your future work or career. If you're coming to UT with some high school language already, or maybe in your family you speak a language different from English at home, consider bringing your abilities in that language up to those of an educated native speaker, able to participate in a variety of situations, settings, and engagements. Or maybe you already know some, let's say, Spanish and want to broaden your knowledge of a related language or area. So sign up for our Portuguese program. Or maybe you already know French and just want to try something completely different. Join our classes in Arabic, Russian, Chinese, or American Sign Language. Broaden your horizons and make your resume stand out from the crowd, from anyone else looking for that same job you want by your ability to function in a variety of international settings, comfortable speaking the language in those settings. One particular track that's available to our students who want to acquire either Arabic or Portuguese at the full professional level is available through UT in our language flagship programs. This federally funded program offers intensive instruction to advanced level of here at UT, and then a full year of capstone internship programs in Morocco or Brazil, whether you're studying Arabic or Portuguese. Students on these remarkable programs have attained full professional competence in these critical languages during their time at UT. They're truly remarkable, and as I said, they're fully funded by the US government. Now, whether your educational profile or your career goals, knowing multiple languages will enhance your ability to communicate with more people in more environments, relate to a better, wider audience, and yes, they're going to increase your bottom line as well. Most applicants to jobs with more than one language will earn larger salaries for the same job. So if you think of taking on a world language as a burden, I ask you to think that it doesn't just take time away from your major study. Rather, think of your language study as an opportunity for self-improvement and a strategic personal and career boost. Think of time that you can spend learning a language to become part of that highly interconnected global world. I can promise you you'll have a transformative experience in learning another language and culture, an experience that will stay with you for the rest of your life. Remember that what happens at UT changes the world, but those changes will happen much more quickly if you speak a world language.